the products, they come in here, even at times I'm sure, even from Europe, they come in here, they go back to Europe.
True.
When Ericsson used to be the king, right?
Yes.
So it was Ericsson. So you have brands that trade are just three now. You've got Apple, Samsung, Xiaomi.
Correct.
But then there is an...
Good morning, everyone. Today the topic is DAFZA mobile business and the importance of DAFZA or Dubai Airport Free Zone in mobile industry. We have Mr. Nazib, who's a veteran in this industry. He's a writer, he writes blogs, he does research, and he has been in this industry for, I would say, a whole era, more than 20-25 years. So let me introduce Mr. Nazib. Mr. Nazib, can you give your background, tell something about yourself?
Thank you, Sharma ji, for the nice introduction. My name is Najib, Qazi Najib Ashraf. By training, I'm an electrical engineer, and I had started my career with Philips in Pakistan. I worked for about 2.5 years. Then I came to Dubai and worked for about 2 years for Panasonic, and then there was the love affair with mobile phones, where I worked for about 10 years for Siemens Mobile, and we'd worked across in Middle East and Africa. And then I'd worked with several distributors, spanning my time across with BlackBerry, established Apple business for one of the distributors in Iraq. And then, as I mentioned, I've been working with different partners, vendors, focusing on the mobile phone business across Middle East and Africa.
So Mr. Nazib, thank you for introducing yourself. So you have seen it all.
Yes.
So just give a brief glimpse what you have seen so far.
Okay, good. So, as you mentioned that, I had seen the different phases of mobile phone industry. Starting from the late 1990s, when Ericsson used to be the king, right?
Yes.
So it was Ericsson Mobile, and there was many other brands which are there. From after Ericsson, of course, there was this huge explosion of Nokia, and Nokia became the leader with 90% market share in some of the markets.
True,
right?
true.
And still, there were still a lot of brands, but towards the mid 2000s, you had started getting a joint venture. So you had Sony Ericsson's, BenQ Siemens, and different mobiles. And then came the phase of the smart mobile phones with the entry of the operating systems.
True.
So you had the Microsoft operating system, there was BlackBerry, Research in Motion, iOS was there, and of course, Android came in.
Correct.
And I think the next phase has been the consolidation of brands. So
True.
brands started getting consolidated. And a lot of brands that started dying off, and now we see that there's just one American brand, and then one Korean
Apple.
brand, and then others. That's
Samsung,
right.
yeah.
So it's quite a consolidation. So we've seen the whole phase. We just mentioned in one minute, but it's been a whole era that has passed within the mobile phone industry.
True, true. I really appreciate that. Now we are sitting in DAFZA, one of the well-known places.
Right.
What do you feel, where DAFZA exactly fits in trading, and particularly mobile trading?
So DAFZA, has been a hub and had been a hub for a long time. The vision that the government of Dubai had of establishing these free zones, I don't think that there's any other industry which has done this well.
True.
I'm sure you've been to Jebel Ali, you've been to
Correct.
other free zones, but DAFZA is synonymous with mobile phones.
True, true.
Right. And there are some, aspects of it. So you have, within DAFZA, you have the logistic companies,
True.
which are a hub. Then you have the traders. But then the vicinity of the airport next to,
Which is
to the
in
location
inbuilt.
inside, it really makes a difference. So globally, you've got locations in Japan, there is in Hong Kong, UAE, there is in Europe, you have Holland, and then Miami. But I think the significance of DAFZA is so vital that the products, they come in here, even at times, I'm sure, even from Europe, they come in here, they go back to Europe.
True,
right?
true.
So
they come from one country, go back to same country.
Exactly, right? So the infrastructure is so well defined in DAFZA that it's just very beneficial for the almost 3,000 plus traders who are here. And I think they
Imagine
keep,
you have
they keep
3,000
coming.
people at one place.
That's true.
Yes.
So it's 3,000 traders, and they keep coming. It doesn't stop. So off and on, trading might go down in one region,
Yes.
but then it comes back in another region, and DAFZA is always a central part playing the role in that. So I see, it's a great place to do business.
No, you're very right, and it's very exciting, and we are privileged to be part of DAFZA.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, what do you think where DAFZA is today, and what do you see the future?
Again, Sharmaji, you see, DAFZA had been catering to trading all over the world, right? I mean, we know that, and you've been a pivotal part of that as well.
True.
But then you also have now consolidation with the brands. So there are brands that trade, and there are brands that retail, right?
True.
So you have brands that trade are just three now. You've got Apple, Samsung, Xiaomi.
Correct.
But then there is an underlying level of brands which are also now retailing. So Motorola also sells, right?
True.
There is other brands which are also selling. That OnePlus is also selling in retail.
Correct.
So they have another market. But the overwhelming availability of traders, okay, and the restricted markets which are there is now creating a certain challenge at this point of time.
Okay.
DAFZA earlier, I think, one of the key markets, I mean, earlier it was trading
Yeah.
everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Then,
Yeah, it was all across the
Right.
globe. Yeah, which I think is there still.
to some extent, right?
To some extent.
But the biggest market used to be Saudi Arabia and Iran,
True.
correct?
True.
And Saudi Arabia a few years ago created these barriers that you cannot export anything to Saudi, otherwise products have now started to come back from Saudi to
It's
Dubai.
the reverse now.
Exactly. So a huge chunk of that trade got sliced. So I mean, that market is not available anymore, right?
Okay.
So the focus of the traders now has been now either to Iran or to Iraq. right?
Correct.
I was in Iraq last month, and there's a big misconception in people where they think Iraq is a very unstable market, there is uncertainty, crime. There's none of that. Iraq is at this point of time in a reconstruction mode.
Okay.
It's a beautiful market, and Apple is officially available in Iraq. Right?
Okay.
I've not seen billboards the size that I've seen in Iraq for Apple.
Wow.
The whole size
All
of the
the
whole
places.
buildings
Wow.
are Apple official billboards. With, of course, the local distributor is Era Business Machine and the other distributors, and iStyle, which are the official, the market
Partners.
stores of things. So other than Apple, of course, Samsung is not doing as much marketing as Apple does, but there is Samsung, there is Apple, and there is Xiaomi. I've seen it even for Techno. The market is really booming.
So I think Iraq is likely to replace Saudi.
No, but here's the catch, right? Every vendor is now sitting in Iraq. And from what I know is that Iraq is one of the few places where Apple does not accept warranty for a grey market product. So you can go in because they want to encourage official imports.
Okay.
Samsung's got like 4 distributors. They are also encouraging as much in-country distribution. So the barriers against the grey market are just going up all the time. Even accessories. I mean, if you
Yes.
look at accessories, I mean, if there are certain vendors, I mean, if they find a parallel accessory, they really punish their distributors. So they're
But
protecting
I'm sure
the market.
DAFZA will find its way.
Somehow, some stock is going,
Yes.
but at the end, what it leaves is Iran, right?
So Iran.
The final resting place of
Yes,
all
yes.
trade, right?
Mother of all
Mother of trade.
countries for DAFZA right now.
Exactly. So what you've mentioned now with Trump coming in and the trade barriers is, Iran is still having $12 million of mobile imports every year. Okay?
Okay.
Sorry.
No,
$12
much
million.
more, right?
No,
Sure,
sorry, I'm
much
sorry.
more.
It's $12 million, 12 million units.
12 million
million
units.
units.
Wow,
I'm sorry,
that is
not
very
about
big.
dollars, right? Okay? And 60% of that is Samsung.
DAFZA.
Yes,
Samsung as a brand?
Samsung as a brand.
DAFZA.
And of course, everything is being pushed through DAFZA. Even in these restricted times, I mean, Iran is still
It's a
importing
big
lot.
market. Purchase power is there
Exactly.
despite all the problems.
So with 82 million population, I think it's like 84 million now.
Yes.
There is still a major pull of these brands, and if these trade barriers they go down,
Which are likely
Okay.
to be the way it is.
then the local distributors would do a great job. And
Correct.
if the trade barriers go up and in-country distribution comes in,
Yes.
I think it will be a bit of a question mark. Okay, what's next for DAFZA?
So you see challenging times for DAFZA.
Well, I see challenging times for DAFZA in 2 respects. Well, one thing I appreciate about your company that you already have this vision to start diversifying in retail, right?
Yes.
So there are some traders, and very few of them that I've seen have started to diversify. They've started to go into either real estate or they're going to retail
Okay.
company. But there are others who actually, I've seen them since the late 1990s, right? They've been doing the same and they haven't changed at all. This is the time for change because everyone must change and this is a critical time. So it's first of all the business owners and the second is the salespeople who are working there.
True.
They have to learn to sell or something else or to learn another skill.
Business,
or something.
another business perhaps.
Because in the past few weeks, I've had people who've contacted me that they've lost their jobs and with good salaries, and they aren't able to get jobs.
Yeah.
And if they're offered jobs, it's less than half of what they used to earn. Because they go in and say, what can you do? We can sell. Okay, sell where? Which markets?
True.
So the markets are becoming challenging. So I see, and DAFZA has got this great thing.
No,
DAFZA
one thing I will
finds something.
say that DAFZA has been resilient. It is it's an animal which doesn't die.
Of course.
So many challenges have come, but they have survived.
Yes. You see, there is this thing where.
But you are right. The things are different this time.
Yes,
Things are different.
this time these things are really different.
Oh, yes.
I spoke to one of the distributors of Xiaomi from Far East. He's one of the major distributors, right?
Okay.
And he mentioned that even his company he sees 2 to 3 years. He's saying after 2 to 3 years, the vendor definitely is going to go in and establish his offices in places even in Africa. Because saying, they want to cut out the middleman, which is the distributor.
True.
So if this is the trend which is going in, I think it is high time where,
People look at diversification or something else.
That's true.
And you see dark clouds for DAFZA if people don't change. The way they were doing the business may not be so. DAFZA may still survive, but if people change. That's, I think, your message to everyone.
When you see, as far as DAFZA is concerned, Dubai is a magical place.
Oh,
I did not know.
I fully agree.
Right?
Yeah.
So I, as you mentioned, so I not only do mobile phones, so I also ventured into other businesses as a consultant. I go and do. And I ventured into coffee about a couple of years ago.
It's doing very well.
Right.
What I believe, coffee is at
Yeah,
all-time
it's
high.
an amazing business, but what I did not know is that there is a coffee center just like DAFZA.
Yes.
Okay, there's a coffee center in Dubai.
Wow.
And I went there,
Yeah.
and what the government of Dubai has done, just like it's a free zone, right? You go and establish your offices. They have huge storage facility which is temperature controlled.
Yes.
You bring in your coffee, okay, from South America, from Yemen, from Ethiopia, from everywhere. You store it there. They also have a roasting facility. They have
Wow.
a packaging facility, and they have a training facility as well. So it's like one-stop shop, and right next to it is the Dubai Tea Center. So the coffee and tea
It's
for
a
the
news
whole
to me.
region, okay,
Yes.
is distributed from here. So tomorrow DAFZA might not be selling mobile phones, they might be selling
Selling
something
coffee.
else because it's
Yeah.
so well positioned.
Yes.
But it's the people who are doing a certain business, they have to realize that they have to start thinking
No,
about something
I
else.
fully agree with you because
Yes.
if you DAFZA has been here, I think for now 40 years
Yes.
or so, and I agree with you that mobile is only 25 years old, 25, 30 years old.
That's true.
So I think DAFZA will thrive
Yeah.
and survive. Only the traders have to reinvent themselves.
Yeah.
Maybe in different products or the way they sell it.
Or somebody else will come and replace
Or
it.
someone else will come. DAFZA will remain.
Yeah.
DAFZA
Now,
will
if you go and talk to DAFZA management now,
Yes.
I think there is the wait for like 2 years for the warehouses or something.
So imagine.
So there are no warehouses available.
So DAFZA has no problem.
Yes,
Only
DAFZA
thing, and
has no
I'm sure, traders survive.
Yes.
So before mobile, something else was traded. And now, as you say, one of the things you recently learned is coffee and tea.
Yes, coffee and tea, but
Tea.
my main, you see, the trader, who's the owner,
Yes.
I think he's got the capital, he'll do something.
Correct.
I think also there's a responsibility on the part of the owners themselves to also teach skills to their staff.
The staff.
Okay,
needs,
it's a responsibility.
After
I think some of
all,
those
they are
people
a part of the team and
Exactly,
colleague and all
right.
that.
And there's a responsibility on these individuals also to learn something on their own. I have written these articles repeatedly earlier as well. I've spoken to people, but then they come in and all they talk about when they come, 10 years ago I used to sell so much. 8 years ago and I'll keep telling them, stop it. Okay?
Yeah,
It was not there. That market does not exist. I'm sure, Hima, you remember when Nokia used to move.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Sure.
easily
We
talk
to-
about
we used to do
100,000 units, 200,000 units.
Correct.
No one talks about those numbers
No.
anymore, right?
No. So I really agree with you, and Nazib bhai, thank you very much for such a good insight. It has been a learning. Whenever I meet you personally, I learn something new,
Oh, thanks very
and
much.
we look forward for more such podcasts with you. Thank you, everyone. I think we had a very good session on DAFZA, the future, and the challenges DAFZA has. And thank you. Very soon we'll be back with some new topic.